no matter who you are, you have something to teach somebody else. It's just what happens. We go through life and we have life experiences and we can impart some knowledge onto someone else. And that's what's so beautiful about especially intergenerational conversations. And I don't think we have enough of them. And one of the things that excites me about this conversation I'm about to have is that we are going to learn about how to figure out who's around us and how to leverage the serendipity of them in our lives. The phrase I was taught today by Deborah Heiser, who is our guest on Swell, is the phrase called lateral mentoring. And it basically looks at who's around me and who can help me and who can I help. And it's an awareness, and I love that. About a week ago, we started adding the hashtag mentor or hashtag mentee to our descriptions here at Swell, so we can let people know, hey, I'd love to mentor you, and this is what I do, and I'd love to become mentored. So there's this great culture we're building here, and it's so timely that Deborah's going to talk to us about the Mentor Project, which she started, and also because she has a lens into life through psychology, I think she's going to also give us some really good perspectives on why it's so important for people to feel valued and feel connected and feel needed. So that's where we're going to start, and I'm sure it's going to go a lot of different places. So Deb, thanks so much for being here. And I guess the first question I have is one that connects us to your own personal trajectory. Were you ever mentored, and did that affect you? And is that why you started looking into this world? Or were you ever a mentor and it was like, wow, this is cool? How did you start thinking about the need for this project? And how, what's your temperature reading now? Do you feel like it's something that's really catching on? And what are your hopes and dreams for it? So that's kind of, let's stick with the Mentor Project and your perspective on it and the temperature reading of it. And then we'll go with more questions after that. Thank you so much for being here.
It's so great speaking with you, Deborah. I love the question that you have. How did this get started? And did I ever have a mentor? So yes, I've had mentors along the way. And a lot of times I didn't really know people were mentors. I had to reflect on it to figure it out. What I did was I'm an applied developmental psychologist, and my area of research and focus when working with people has been midlife and older. And one of the great developmental psychologists is Erik Erikson, and he looked at life stages throughout the lifespan. And one that he touched upon is, and that he posited, was generativity. And that's where we care for others and give back without expecting anything in return. And this happens for us naturally in midlife. So I was curious about this and wanted to learn more about why it is that we give back. And as I was interviewing people from 4-star generals down to grandmas on why they mentor, I met with Bob Cousins and Bill Cheswick. And Bob Cousins is the guy who patented how we use credit cards on the internet. And Bill Cheswick is one of the fathers of the network firewall. So they both have done things that have changed the world. And they both talked about how they really wanted to continue to mentor younger people because it, A, kept them relevant, but it also allowed them to get their knowledge and their expertise out to the next generation. Otherwise, they felt like what they know was being lost. And I consider our mentors and those who are experts in fields to be, you know, our most precious natural resource that we have in the world. And so these two guys, their expertise was ready to be lost. And so we decided to start the Mentor Project, where we were just going to make it a fun project and send Bill and Bob out to schools and in settings to get them to mentor kids. And it turned out that it was a lot of fun. And shortly thereafter, it grew to 10, and then 6 months later to 80, and now we're well over 100 mentors, and it's growing every day. And so the idea of mentoring came about organically. The formation of the Mentor Project, which is a nonprofit, it came about organically, and we are actually showing that, in fact, people do have a desire to give back to others, to the next generation. They get tremendous and immense pleasure from that, and they feel connected with others. And the great byproduct of it is that students are receiving mentorship around the world. You asked about lateral mentorship, and that is a really important concept that we've also come up with. I coined the term lateral mentorship, and I've been talking about it for a few years now. And really the concept is that you can look to your left and you can look to your right. And wherever you are looking, you'll find a mentor. Some of our greatest inventions have occurred because people looked to their left or looked to their right and found a mentor nearby who was there to help them with their project. And an example of that was Bill. He was tasked with creating the network firewall, and he knew what he knew, and he got as far as he could. He hit a wall. So he wheeled himself in his office chair to Steve Bellevin and said, "Hey, Steve, you know, different kind of engineering. Can you help me with this?" And Steve said, "Sure." There was nothing in it for Steve. Steve was just helping a friend. And it turned out that that help led to the formation of the network firewall. And we use that today. That's a form of lateral mentorship. And we often have this occurring in our daily lives where we reach out to somebody that we say, "Hey, that's a friend. That's somebody I know really well. I'm going to ask them something." That's really lateral mentoring, and it's really the most invaluable form of mentoring that we have. And I hope this is helpful.
So helpful and so exciting to hear stories like that they just illuminate the possibility, right? When two people connect, you don't even know what role one is playing, what the other is playing, but you know that the skill sets are really so complementary. I want to talk about age right now because I know there was a cute show with Robert De Niro called The Intern, and everyone loved it because there was sort of a role reversal because he was really poised to learn about a particular industry, and he was an older person. And do you feel like, I know you've spoken about ageism quite a bit, and you're somebody who could speak to, how pernicious that culture is and how much we need to just get it out of our psyche, out of our culture, because it doesn't do anyone any favors. However, do you think that people who are older forget the idea of their own value because the society is so loudly saying, you should retire, you should go travel, you should go, just go relax now, as opposed to saying, hey, you should come in towards us and teach us things. Where does ageism and the concept of feeling old fit into your mentor model? And what are you seeing as a hurdle or hurdles when you're trying to explain to people what the culture is that you're trying to build?
Wow, there's so many great points that you brought up, and I'm really excited to be able to address them. Yes, ageism does exist. It's not like it used to be, though. It's not as bad as it used to be. And that's because there's a lot going on that we see that maybe we're not even taking in. But for example, we have a president who's an octogenarian. He was running against someone else who was going to be an octogenarian if he became president. We have people who are our role models in media and in politics and in life who are now older. And that's a really new thing. And so that's something to be pretty excited about. There are still sort of double messages that people get. Yes, you want to grow older. However, you're not going to be as valued. There won't be a place for you. Your identity is at risk right now if you are someone who is leaving something that you're passionate about, such as retirement, things like that, and you don't have something that you're securely identified with that is going to fulfill you. And that's one of the reasons why the Mentor Project was started, was because people who have an expertise, who've done amazing things, who've changed the world, they are still the same people even after they retire, and they want to continue having an impact. They want to continue by giving back, by sharing their expertise and knowledge. And they're not alone. There's a lot of people out there who want to remain active. Maybe they don't want to work a 50-hour work week anymore, but they're still eager to be involved in the world, to make a difference, to be able to shape the minds of the next generation, to be able to have some kind of an impact that's really meaningful. So while ageism still exists, it is getting better for all of us as we age, because we're starting to find a path that works for ourselves. And there are more and more of those now. One of those, there's one thing that we can all do, which is to become generative. And that means to care for others without expecting anything in return. And 3 ways we can do that are through mentoring, volunteering, and philanthropy. And those are 3 very easy ways to get involved, become, have our identities continue in new ways, and to age very well, and to remain relevant.